Across the United States, the data center industry is under fire from lawmakers, regulators, and rural communities, and today, a state legislature just made history. Here's the full picture. In a historic vote on Thursday, June 4, the New York State Legislature passed a bill that would freeze all new data center permits for 1 full year, making New York the first state in the country to attempt a statewide moratorium. The Responsible Data Center Development Act targets any facility drawing more than 20 megawatts, requiring a 1-year pause to complete environmental impact studies and establish new labor standards and renewable energy requirements. Governor Kathy Hochul now holds the fate of the bill and billions in planned data center investment. She has not committed to signing. Tech industry lobbyists are pushing hard for a veto. The pressure on governors and regulators comes with a human face. In rural Morgan County, Georgia, families who rely on private groundwater wells say their tap water turned brown, murky, and filled with sediment after Meta began building its Stanton Springs data center campus. On May 20, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez held up 2 jars of the contaminated water at a House hearing and handed them directly to an EPA official on live television, demanding immediate action. The EPA's assistant administrator pledged to investigate. Meta disputes any connection, pointing to a company-commissioned groundwater study. But the affected families say they've been hauling bottled water to cook and bathe for months, and the problem hasn't stopped. Meanwhile, a far more systemic threat to the data center expansion emerged from the nation's top power grid watchdog. On May 4, the North American Electric Reliability Corporation (NERC) issued a Level 3 Essential Actions Alert, its highest possible emergency designation. The trigger: data centers in Virginia and Texas had automatically disconnected from the power grid in seconds, swinging the system by over 1,000 megawatts and giving grid operators, in NERC's own words, little or no room for real-time response. The Department of Energy has since issued an emergency order authorizing PJM, the grid operator covering 13 states, to curtail data centers during peak demand periods. Experts warn that if nothing changes, PJM could fall below reliability standards by June 2027, raising the risk of rolling blackouts. Yet even as regulators scramble and communities fight back, the data center boom is running headlong into a bottleneck that no amount of money can quickly fix. There simply aren't enough workers to build the facilities. A new industry analysis puts the skilled labor shortfall at 499,000 positions in 2026 alone, and with 41% of the existing data center construction workforce projected to retire by 2031, the pipeline is not closing the gap. 45% of U.S. contractors say they delayed at least one data center project in the past year due to staffing constraints, now ranked ahead of power access and land as the single biggest construction obstacle. Wages have surged dramatically in response. Electricians in Northern Virginia now command over $120,000 a year. But the positions still sit empty for months. And fueling both the boom and the backlash is a deepening debate over who actually pays for the infrastructure data centers demand. Florida just drew a firm line. On May 7, Governor Ron DeSantis signed Senate Bill 484 into law, taking effect July 1. The law requires any data center drawing 50 or more megawatts to bear its full cost of grid service, including all infrastructure upgrades, with zero shifting of those costs onto residential ratepayers or small businesses. It also bars utilities from serving data centers owned or controlled by foreign adversaries. The bill passed the Florida Senate 37-0 and the House 92-16, rare bipartisan consensus in a divided era. At least 11 other states are already studying it as a model for legislation of their own. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, subscribe, leave a like, and drop a comment. It helps us cover more of these stories.